Welcome to the March AC call. I'm really excited. We're going to be talking about engagement, which is kind of ironic because this is the same call that I spearheaded last year. And so hopefully prior to now, you went ahead and you watched the content of the call, which was very detailed from last year. And that's going to give you a really good idea of the nitty-gritty of how to equip team members and how to equip ministry coordinators. And so if you have not done that, I highly suggest that before you even start to build your engagement ministry plan, that you definitely make it a point to go ahead and watch that call from last year. And so I'm going to hide myself. I don't want to be a distraction. And go ahead and share my desktop with you all. Let me see if we got this. Okay, fantastic. Can somebody confirm that you can hear me?
Tricia, I can hear you, but I cannot see your desktop.
Okay.
Me too.
Wow, that's unfortunate. Okay, stay tuned. Let me see. Present desktop. How about now? Can we see my desktop?
No.
Still nothing?
Still nothing. We can hear you fine.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is see if I can't send this PowerPoint to Wendy, and then Wendy, if you'd be willing to run the slides.
Definitely.
Your video, Tricia, so that your picture shows, and then present your desktop.
So you think I should try it from now? From here?
Yeah. Let's see if that works.
Anything?
We see your beautiful face.
I look like my mom. I'll let her know. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and send it. It must be something with my software. So let me just go ahead and share this.
I'll let Wendy present it.
I'll let Wendy present it, yes. I hope it's not too big to send. Thanks, everyone, for your patience. Well, the first part of the call, why don't I go ahead and I'll pray and we'll dive in, because really the first part, we don't necessarily need a PowerPoint, and so we can go ahead and get started. And so let's just pray together briefly. Lord, I thank you that you've called each of us to this role in our own perspective manner. And I thank you that you're equipping us. And I'm just really thankful, Lord, that we get to do this. And so may everything we do during this call bring you glory. And I just pray, Lord, that we would know you more and be more equipped because of it. And we ask these things in Christ's name. Amen. So the first thing I'd like to do is talk about some affirmation successes. So we're coming out of affirmation season, which I don't know if you guys have enjoyed it, but I definitely, in some of my developing areas, have really enjoyed affirming drop-off team leaders and the pastors and the church as a whole, and then a few project leaders that I hold relationships with. And so to go ahead and kind of celebrate some affirmation successes, I'm going to ask Leah, if you'll share your experience with us.
Me, Lee Newell?
No, Lee. Yoakum? Are you on the call?
Trish, I had gotten knocked off, so maybe she got knocked off and I had to re-sign on, so maybe that's happening to others.
Okay, we'll come back to her then. So Debbie Eubanks?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead, Debbie. Take it away.
Well, my church coordinator, she had one team member. She just recently increased it to 2. She covers just about our whole area with anything that our team member doesn't cover. She goes and visits churches, and she likes to talk to people face and face. But her husband is a Gideon, and so she is all the time partnering his ministry with hers. Every time he's invited to speak, she asks, could she have a few minutes? Well, during affirmation season, they had a Gideon's banquet with a lot of pastors and people from the area gathered together. And so she said, well, I'm going to make use of this while I'm here. When everybody lined up to eat, she got out of line and went and talked to specific pastors to affirm them and thank them for their church's participation. And even approached one pastor whose church had dropped out and not participated to try to find out why and to get them on board. That's the way she does, and is very successful with any kind of face-to-face that she can have.
I bet the pastors and the project leaders that she is affirming, like just being able to have that face-to-face contact, and that she knows who they are is probably really encouraging.
Yes, she really is responsible for any kind of growth that we have in our area because she stays behind people. She knows what's happening. When a project leader is having surgery or whatever, we put them on our prayer list because she knows about it.
Well, thanks for sharing. I'm sorry that we're having some technical drama. Shocking, I know. And so, Leah, are you with us now? Okay, well, why don't I have Christy wants to share some, she has this vision for BASBO this year that we wanted to give her the opportunity to share with everybody. And so, Christy, if you're on, if you'll go ahead and share your BASBO idea.
Hey, I'm here.
Okay, great.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, BASBO is something that I've always known about, but it's something that I've never really, I don't know, really focused on. And so I was looking through all the reports, and I saw in-box BASBO totals, and I thought, oh, let me just check this out, assuming, you know, that our area would have none because, I mean, honestly, we don't talk about BASBO. So I was immediately convicted before I even looked at the numbers. And so I looked at them, very reluctant, but it gave the number for this past year and the year before. And when our numbers were like 104 and 107, and it increased by 3. And I thought, you know, I was even more convicted because that's something that we haven't focused on at all since I've been AC. And before we did a little bit, but not really. And so we've really kind of, I don't want to say failed in that area, but it has not been a focus, and it definitely needs to be. So just talking to Shelly, I just kind of got so excited. But the first thing that I did as soon as I saw the numbers, and I was like, oh man, what are we going to do? I realized, number one, that prayer had to be a focus. And that is always the first step for me in my personal life, but of course also for this team. And so I immediately reached out to the prayer team, and I said, you know, we've really got to pray about this. We've got to figure out some things that we can do But then second, I said, you know what? Christy really needs to pack a shoebox online. And I had never done that. We pack shoe boxes all the time, and we enjoy going to buy the stuff and enjoy packing in our home and in school and, in Bible study, small groups or whatever. But I've never packed a shoebox online. And so I felt like before I could really ask anyone else to, I needed to do that myself. So I did. And when I sat down, of course, it asked a boy or a girl, and I picked a boy. And I picked a boy because my dad passed away a year ago, and I thought, I'm going to pack a boy box, because if my dad was here, he would definitely be on board with that. And so as I packed the boy's box, the older boy's box, of course, I just thought about the items I put in it, and I read the stories, and I really just tried to figure out which one would speak to my dad most. And so I packed that first shoebox just to myself in honor of my dad. And I'm going to continue to do that, of course, on his birthdays and for Christmas and for Thanksgiving. So personally, I'm going to pack those boxes in memory of him, because he impacted my life, and I want someone else's life impacted because of his. And so that was just a personal note. That was just Christy packing those boxes, that box online. And then I thought, this has got to be bigger. We've got to do something better than this. And so my first thought was, we got to have a vision. So I reached out to the ministry coordinators that we have, and I don't have that many, but we did reach out and we talked about it, and we really want to get some of the bigger churches in our area, like I go to First Baptist Church, and some of the bigger churches, just to ask each Sunday school class to pack one shoebox, just to start with, just to, everybody brings a couple of dollars, you go through packing the shoebox, you read our spiritual impact stories just in that Sunday school class. And I thought, well, that would be a good start, but that's going to, require a little bit of a planning, reaching out to the pastors, and to, them, to their Sunday school leaders and stuff. But what can we do like right now? And so we reached out to the team and I asked all of our team. I said, I talked to them about BASBO. I told them this is something that I hadn't done, and several had packed a shoebox online, but others had not. And I said, I encourage you, go home and do that. And so individually, I wanted them just to kind of evaluate if they had or if they hadn't. And so they need to experience that. And so I asked them to pack individually. And then I asked them to go back to their Sunday school class and ask everybody to bring a couple of dollars. Most, churches have access to some ways that you can, get internet or something in the class. And so our Sunday school teacher, I teach kindergarten, but my husband goes to our Sunday school class, and he takes a laptop every Sunday. And so he was able to pull that up and pack that shoebox just right there and read those stories. And I really think that that's just been a good place to start. And so we don't really have a goal for BASBO, but I really want it to be a part in the hearts of all of our people. And so another thing that we're going to do is for any project leader training or anything like that where technology allows us, we are going to pack a shoebox online, just so that the project leaders, if they haven't done it, they can experience that. And then when they have Mr. Joe, who always so faithfully, hands them $100 bill, says, hey, can you pack these shoeboxes? Our encouragement is going to be, take that $100 and yes, help him pack those shoe boxes. But if there is a way for you to sit down with him and show him, pack at least one of those shoe boxes online so he can see and hear stories for each item, so that it's not just a transaction, and that he can actually feel and hear stories about the difference. Because I know that, and that's also good for people in assisted living places. They may not be able to get out and go to church or come to, go to Walmart and buy stuff. But we can take these laptops in there, and I know that these places will grant us that access for people who love to do things. I mean, there's a lady who knits little hats, and I mean, we can take our laptop in there and let her pack a shoebox just to show, that, and let her hear and be more a part of the ministry. So our goal is to bring BASBO inside the home. We want to pack those shoeboxes. We want that interaction, but we also want to reach those that might not be able to do so. So we're working on a vision and kind of a letter that can go out to all the Sunday school classes in their weekly folder, and we'll spread that out to our project leaders. And I know our project leaders will be on board. We're not asking them to pack 100 boxes. If every Sunday school class in West Alabama is my area, but if every Sunday school class in West Alabama would pack one shoebox, what a difference that can make. So, we don't have a goal, but we're praying that God will lead us. And if we pack just the same numbers we did last year, that's fine too. But we're going to make sure that people are more aware, and we are going to be more prayerful about BASBO.
Great. That's awesome. I personally love BASBO, so I love hearing that you're spearheading a few things in your area. Well, let me ask, Danny, are you on the line? Okay, and then did I get Leah back at all?
Trisha, we got an email from Leah. She's having technical problems.
Okay, all right. Well, why don't we go ahead and let's jump into engagement season. Woo! Wendy, if you'll go to the next slide. Okay, fantastic. So let's briefly talk about what is engagement season. Well, it's the time frame in the ministry calendar in which we approach new partners or revisit former partners to move ministry forward in our areas. And I want to say this with passion. This isn't something that we have to do. It's something that we get to do. We get to invite people who don't know things about Operation Christmas Child into the OCC family, also that we can move ministry forward in our areas. Again, this season, we're talking about a 90-day time frame. So when we're looking at building our ministry plans and thinking through how we're going to move ministry forward in our areas, we're thinking what can be accomplished between April and June. And this call is supposed to just be a refresher. Again, if you haven't watched the call from last year, you really need to go back and do so. This call is really just to help brainstorm and talk about a little bit of the resources that we have to spice up the engagement season. And let me tell you why engaging new partners is so important. Because this year, our Southeast shoebox goal is 1 million shoeboxes. 1 million. And so, yes, we need to hit affirmation hard, and yes, we need to hit engagement hard. And when it comes to support season, we're going to need to work well at that also. So there are 3 different area team makeups that impact the strategy of the engagement ministry plan. So your team is going to fall into one of these 3 categories that I'm going to highlight. And then I'm going to talk about what should the focus, as the AC, what should your focus be depending on the makeup of your area team. First, we have an AC who does not have an MC, but you have promotional team members. So that looks like church relations team members, prayer mobilization, perhaps students, or community. Now, drop-off team leaders, they are year-round volunteers, but we don't necessarily coin them to be promotional. They tend to be fall heavy, which we're trying to move away from. But when we're talking about engagement season, really, who you're equipping are your church team members, prayer team members, student, and community relations team members. So this is one category, an AC with no MCs but has promotional team members. The next category would be an AC with MCs, and the MC has team members. So maybe this is your makeup. We're going to talk about what your focus needs to be. And lastly, we're going to talk about what does it look like for ACs who have MCs, but your ministry coordinators do not have any promotional team members. Maybe this is you. We're going to talk about what your focus should be as the area coordinator during the season. Wendy, if you'll flip to the next slide. So we're talking about AC's first category. I'm sorry? Okay. We're talking about ACs with no ministry coordinators, but you're an AC and you have promotional team members. This is what needs to happen. First, you need to make a plan for your team members. Now, we talked a little bit about this at the area coordinator planning meeting. As the leader of the team, whether you are the area coordinator or the ministry coordinator, you're responsible for building a strategy. A strategy is the big picture, and then you are responsible for going and implementing a plan for your team members. The plan is going to be the how steps in order to accomplish the big strategy. And I'll talk a little bit more about what that might look like. So if you are an AC with no ministry coordinators, but you do have promotional team members, you need to be focusing on making a plan for your team members. And what does that look like? Decide what key churches you would like your team to bring on this year. So we talked a lot about mega churches or larger potential donor churches at the planning meeting. Maybe that's your strategy. Your strategy might be that you're going to pour your efforts into really hitting churches that don't participate in your area but have attendance of 1,000 people or more. And so if that's your strategy, then you're going to delegate different churches to your team members. And then you're going to go ahead and set SMART goals with your team members that can be accomplished in the 90-day period of engagement. So we're asking them, can they accomplish these things in 90 days? Then you're going to equip your team members to accomplish their task. This is where I talked in a lot of detail last year in the engagement call as far as the resources we have for you to help equip your team members. And so to equip, basically what you're asking is where do they lack resources, knowledge, competencies, or attitudes for engagement, and you're going to address those. For example, let's say I have a team member named Susie Q. And Susie Q is a fantastic church relations team member. Susie, when she talks about Operation Christmas Child, a lot of times she talks about how toothpaste is out, but soap is in. Or how candy is out, but stuffed animals are the new thing, or soccer balls can be in the shoebox. Well, for engagement season, I might decide with Susie Q that really the competencies that she is lacking for engagement is she doesn't ever really talk about TGJ or the discipleship program that comes with the shoebox gift. And so I might spend my time equipping Susie Q and how to really explain EDM, that it's evangelism, discipleship, and multiplication, and that what comes out of the shoebox gift is far more important than what we're putting in the shoebox gift. And so again, you're going to equip your team members to accomplish their task by asking where are they weak, and that's what you're going to address. And then I'm going to suggest that you keep them accountable to the goals that you set out. If your goal for each one of your church team members or community team members is to engage X amount of churches or X amount of community groups, I'm suggesting that you keep them accountable and that you are touching bases with them maybe once a week or every other week, making sure that they feel confident, let them share any wins that they have. And then I'm going to suggest that you celebrate wins of all sizes. So whether it's that Susie Q tried to get an appointment with 10 pastors in the area but only got in front of one, I'm going to take her out for a little ice cream cone, or I'm going to celebrate her, because to really let our team members know that we see that they're working hard to cultivate the opportunity, we should be celebrating wins of all sizes. And then for your engagement ministry plan, you need to recruit for a ministry coordinator. And really, as the area coordinator, that is your main focus. And so what I'm going to suggest when it comes to equipping or making a plan and equipping your team members, I'm going to suggest you kind of do the bare minimal. You get them equipped, you make sure they know what they're doing, you celebrate their wins, and you let them loose, because really your efforts need to be working on those 2 high effort, high return, 2 low effort, low return recruitment opportunities. So what I'm saying is that you should follow through and follow up. When you brought on team members, you said that you were going to give them the resources to do ministry, and so I'm suggesting that you do that. You told them that you were going to help lead them and give them direction, and that's what I'm suggesting you do by helping them make a plan. So to equip team members to accomplish their task, I want to remind you we have the RAC tool. And so that is a great opportunity for you to be able to see at a glance the different resources, knowledge, and competencies needed in order to do engagement well. Again, this is the call to action for an AC with no MC, but has promotional team members. The next area team makeup would be an AC with a ministry coordinator, and this ministry coordinator supports and oversees team members. What I'm suggesting is that everybody do their share. Kind of like the Barney song, when you clean up, clean up, clean up, everybody do your share. That's what I'm suggesting here. That as an AC, you're going to equip your MC in making a plan for his or her team members. So again, you're going to be able to use that RAC tool, and you're going to have to know what's happening on his or her teams to know where they need help equipping their own team members for engagement season. So you're going to equip your MC in making a plan for his or her team members. You're going to ask yourself, what opportunities for engagement do you not want to miss? Address those. So maybe as you are creating a strategy for engagement for your team, you're sitting down with your church coordinator and saying, I do not want us to miss the mega church opportunity, or I do not want us to miss the WMU opportunity or the Sunday school opportunity in our area. And so think to yourself, okay, what opportunity for engagement do you not want to miss? And address those and put that as a goal in front of your ministry coordinator. And then you're going to ask the question, where do they lack resources, knowledge, competencies, or attitudes for equipping their team members? You're going to address those. Then you're going to keep your ministry coordinator accountable. So the goals that they've set out for them and their team members, you're going to spend time constantly keeping them accountable. I don't think you should wait until the end of 90 days or even just your once a month coaching call. I'm thinking that you should be a little bit more in touch and keeping them accountable. That way, you don't have to wait to celebrate wins until the end of engagement season. You can celebrate wins of all sizes from the beginning. And then you're going to make sure that your MC is still actively recruiting for more team members. What we're seeing, unfortunately, is that a lot of ministry coordinators are acting as team members. But let me remind you, the responsibilities of a ministry coordinator are to recruit, select, equip, lead, and develop. Same as you. The responsibilities of a coordinator role is to recruit, select, equip, lead, and develop. If we're not recruiting, we're not selecting. There'll be nobody to select. If we're not selecting, there's no need for equipping or leading or developing. And so we need to make sure that our ministry coordinators, especially for this year with one of our initiatives being growing our church teams, make sure that our MCs are actively recruiting for more team members. So when your MCs are hosting quarterly equipping meetings, think to yourself, how can you best prepare them for those meetings? It may be sitting down and making sure they have an airtight agenda for that meeting, making sure that they're not missing opportunities to coach their team members, and making sure that they are also celebrating wins of all sizes with their teams. The last area team makeup that I want to bring up, which you're probably getting an idea of what it looks like, is an AC with MCs, but your MC has no promotional team members. So you're leadership heavy with no worker bees. What I'm suggesting is that you don't put the buggy before the horse, meaning that really what your ministry coordinator should be doing is spending their time recruiting to add more team members. So first, the call to action is to make a plan for your MCs. Decide what key churches or groups you would like your team to bring on this year. I'm suggesting you delegate 2 to 3 of those groups or churches to your MC. That way they can get their hands in on what it looks for engagement season, so that when they are equipping and encouraging team members in engagement season, they know what they're talking about. And then set recruitment goals with your MC that can be accomplished in 90 days. And so again, their focus is recruiting and selecting as a leadership role. And so you're going to make sure you're equipping them to get out there and recruit. And then you're going to be keeping them accountable with their recruitment goals. And then you're going to be celebrating wins of all sizes. That may look like if somebody, they have a recruiting event, they have some prospects, they follow up with the prospects, but they don't pan out. Well, that's still something to celebrate, because good grief, at least we got in somebody's ear. And that would be what I am referring to, celebrating wins of all sizes. So why don't we put the buggy before the horse? Well, recruiting team members will serve a greater purpose in the long run. So instead of our ministry coordinators trying to hold 1 bazillion relationships with these churches they're trying to engage, what is really going to move ministry forward in the long run is if they can build a team and build it the right way. And again, it's a reminder that they're a ministry coordinator, which is a leadership role. They're not a team member. And so the expectation is that they are recruiting, selecting, equipping, leading, and developing team members. But in this particular instance, the priority is recruiting, recruiting, recruiting. So I know that's a bit of a whirlwind of information, but hopefully you got the gist that the idea is to make a plan, equip your team members to execute the plan, keep them accountable, celebrate wins of all sizes, and then in your mind as the area coordinator, making sure that you are taking the opportunity to actively recruit for ministry coordinators in your area. So I do want to spend time now, I threw out a bunch of information, and so if you have any questions about the strategy or what I'm calling the call to action, I would gladly take those questions now. Okay, fantastic. So what I want to do now is switch gears and talk about what are some of the resources that we have for engagement, because I would love for us to be able to spice up our engagement efforts. And so some things that Samaritan's Purse puts out for us as resources for engagement are, we're going to have key stats from 2018 Communication Guide. So all of our statistics, which praise God, are things that he's accomplishing around the world and using us to do so. So we have that as a resource. People love to know the numbers. They love to know the facts, what's happening, what are our survey crews going back to this country and reporting back to us. In particular, we have a church partnership with Church of God. So we have that video from a pastor from the Church of God network. We have our National Partnerships Guide on MyOCC, which in a moment we'll walk through. The Project Leader landing page is fantastic to bring up to people that you're engaging and showing them that we have resources for them to help do this project in their church or student group or group. And then also the Project Leader Facebook page, which is like, will blow your mind every day what people are doing and the deals they're finding. And so those would be great resources. And also we're suggesting the resource sample kit. That could be something that you could take with you or make sure your team members have with them when they go to engage new churches or groups Um, that way they get a real idea of, okay, what does it mean when we say evangelism, discipleship, and multiplication? What does that mean? Being able to take them through the journey of a shoebox, things of that sort. I want to say, you know, you want to be sure to have plenty of free materials on hand for engagement season. So make sure that you're putting those orders in and getting those free materials so that your ministry coordinators or your members have those for engagement season. And so now I'm going to ask Wendy to go ahead and log on to my OCC so we can briefly look at the National Partnership Guide on my OCC. Okay, fantastic. So if you log on to my OCC and then you go to the partnership, national partnerships, you will, let's go to church relations. So let's say I'm trying to do all things church. And then from there, this is going to map out the different partnerships that we have. And so again, I had mentioned maybe 2019 is the year of WMU. Like that's going to be my strategy for my team. I don't want to miss one WMU church, women's group. And so when if you'll scroll down, you'll see we have a partnership right there, WMU. And if you'll click on that, this is a great guide because it's going to give you an overview of our partnership. It's going to tell you about the Women's Mission Union, and then it's going to tell you how you can approach them, which is great that our that Samaritan's Purse puts effort into this. It's going to tell you how to connect, where to find different churches that have WMU groups. And so if you're not familiar with our national partnerships, I definitely encourage you to just check it out and see, okay, how might this work into your engagement strategy this year? Kathy, I see your question about the kit, and I don't know. And if Wendy or Tracy know, they can type in, but I haven't heard anything about when that will come out.
I think all I heard was spring, not any kind of an actual date given. So hopefully in the near future, we'll know more.
Okay, well, I want to ask too, do any of you on the call have any favorite resources that you like to use for engagement that you've seen work well? Any particular SPTV videos? Okay, so the last, back to the PowerPoint, the last part of this call is really some brainstorming. And so it's really only going to be fun if you share. And if you don't, we'll just all hang up. So the brainstorming session, what I would like to talk through is maybe have any of you come up with a strategy for engagement. So when you ask yourself, what are the opportunities you do not want your team to miss? What comes to mind?
We have a lot of churches, Baptist churches that participate, and there is a local Columbus Baptist Association, and there's a good number of churches on there that don't participate as well. So I want to try and contact the pastor that's in charge and see if we can make a presentation to them.
Fantastic. Anybody else? When you think of opportunities you do not want your team to miss, what comes to mind? Okay, does anybody have any ideas how to creatively use engagement season for recruitment?
Well,
I have an idea that Tracy wanted me to share. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this season for engagement we are having, and it goes along with what Christy was saying, because I did look at my BASBO numbers and I was kind of shocked too. And so we're doing a BASBO Bunko night, and that is going to be held at one of our drop-off locations, and we're inviting our community, but we're going to use it as a recruitment as well tool, and to engage hopefully people in our area that are not that are being invited by friends. Of course, our team is trying to invite as many friends as they can, but then we will share during that time recruitment, and hopefully we'll get some team members there.
Fun. Should be interesting.
Yeah.
One idea that I had for engagement would be to host something for project leaders that participate, but make sure that we let these project leaders know that we would love them to invite a +1. And their +1 would be somebody that project leader would know doesn't participate with Operation Christmas Child. And that way they have a friend inviting them to this informational event. And in that way, again, it's serving as recruitment potentially with getting in front of the project leader again, or perhaps for the first time. And then at the same time being able to engage a new potential partner for the ministry.
Something I was going to share too, when I did my numbers, I have 53 churches that did not participate, that participated in 2017, but not in 2018. And that was really hard to handle. That's a huge number. So I've also felt led to, on engagement, instead of assigning all those 53 churches to team members and are my MCs and contact them, because I don't know why we lost them, but we need to figure that out, because that's important to also maintain why, the ones we have. But that's a great loss for us. So during engagement, we're going to tackle that as well, because the first year I came on as AAC, I didn't do those percentages. I didn't know how many we lost from 2016 to 2017. But because I did, it was a very big eye opener. So I'm going to focus a lot on engagement on those that we missed.
Yeah, I think that's wise to re-engage those partners. They already know the ministry, so it's kind of like low-hanging fruit. And then it serves as good research to ask, okay, well, why did you step away, or why didn't you participate? And that'll always help us, do ministry better. What about any particular goals that you are setting out for your ministry coordinators? Okay then, so that will conclude the call. I hope that this has been just, again, a refresher. Hopefully nothing I shared was new. That was not the point. I do want to encourage you, again, to look over those national partnership guides. I think that would be very, very helpful. And be thinking of a strategy, asking yourself, what opportunity do you not want your team to miss this year as far as engaging new partners is concerned? And build a strategy around it. And once you have a strategy, you're going to then either equip your ministry coordinator to make a plan for their team members, hold them accountable, celebrate wins of all sizes, or you're going to make a plan for your team members, equip them to accomplish those goals, hold them accountable, and then celebrate wins of all sizes. So if there are no questions, I will pray this out.
Trish.
Yes.
I just got in from my meeting. I'm sorry. I missed a lot of the conversations, but one of the questions I have is I cannot find the ministry coordinator on the box program. Unless I'm missing it or something, but I told you yesterday we got a meeting next week with the team to try and see if we can fill some of our positions.
Sure. And I will offline. I'll get with you on how to locate those.
Okay.
All right. So I'll pray and then we'll be done. Lord, I thank you that you allow us to partner with you in ministry. I just pray wisdom over these area coordinators as they recruit, select, equip, lead, and develop teams for your glory, that more children would come to know you as Lord and Savior. And Lord, and we pray that you would give us 1 million shoebox gifts this year as we work hard to move ministry forward, engaging new partnerships, supporting our project leaders and our donors, that you would be most famous, not just in our lives, but their lives as well. And we ask these things in Christ's name, amen.